This might be his first Instagram live, dun dun dun, with a being a guest. So let me see if we can get him on here. So excited about this. Bum, bum, bum.
Dun 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 dun. Hey there,
John, you have no idea. I'm like so honored about this. You have no idea. No, I'm like.
Well, it's just great to be on with you. So I love it. I was trying to figure out how in the world do I get onto this live session with you, and I figured it out with the help of my assistant Andrea. And I need to let you know, I just asked my wife. So tell me, how did you like the hair care products? And she says she loves them.
Oh, good. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to hear that. Well, I can't wait to dive deep into this. But, the reason why I developed my hair care line is because I feel like throughout the years, I've always believed in positive thinking. And I don't know
It's
why
overrated.
but but I've always been this way. And I actually know that you were on The Secret. And I watched The Secret years ago, 16 years. And I really give a lot of credit to that being a part of my early stage in my career to really help catapult me into where I am today. So, and then you're in The Secret. Hello.
I'm in The Secret. What's The Secret? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's great to be on with you. Congratulations on your amazing success. And I love what you're doing. So I had a chance to look at your page, and I just shared that we're on live with the people that are following me right now. So hopefully many of my followers will pay attention to what we're about to talk about.
Amazing. Well, this is definitely going to stay on my feed, and then I'm going to actually save it, and then it'll go out too, because I think, I actually came across you on Clubhouse, and I wrote down so many notes, John, and for me to write down notes from what you said is powerful, because the only things that are really truly magic to me gets to be put into my little black notebook. So it was actually a topic about positive affirmations and positivity, and the way you think can change behavioral patterns in your brain. And you saying that, I had this crazy aha moment. Of course it does, because my background to success, it was not an easy one, but I just kept on telling myself, you can do this, you're good at this, you deserve abundance or whatever. And here I am living this fruitful life. I'm just getting started. So yeah.
Good for you.
Well, this is probably the most exciting live I've ever done. So I'm going to shut up, and I would love for you to chat.
Listen, a lot of times when I'm doing I'm a behavioral science researcher, which is my passion, but more importantly, I like to apply it. And so I'm going to do something just for fun since we're live. So I want you to imagine, everyone, that instead of talking to me with my hair and my face and my nose and my teeth, imagine if you're just talking to this, right? Now, why am I showing you your brain, or a brain that's a plastic brain? And that's because every one of us owns, $100 billion biocomputer called our brain. So everything that we see through our eyes, everything that we hear, through our ears, everything that, we touch is happening in between, 3 inches of our ears. And so we are learning a lot more about, this brain of ours than we ever knew in the history of our species. And one of the things that we know is when I say, which I don't, I can't do that. I can't achieve that. Not only am I reinforcing a pattern in my brain, but if you imagine that when you say you can't, there's a lens in your brain that just says, okay, I'm going to make that a reality. And so you won't even see the things that could make I can possible. So our biocomputer acts in billionths of a second to make whatever it is that we're thinking and reinforcing our reality. So we don't see the world as it is. we see the world based on the filters that our brain is allowing us to see the world. So if we, have limiting beliefs, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm too dark haired, too blonde, too white, too black, too Asian, Caucasian, whatever it is, our brain makes that a reality. And so what if we learned how to have positive self-talk, how to have positive expectations, how to set up our biocomputer so that it works as our greatest computer of mass construction instead of mass destruction. And so I've done a lot of research in the last 40 years on the neuroscience of success, and we all have this incredible brain that when we learn how to use it better, it becomes our most amazing servant instead of something that works against us. So great start to having a little bit of fun on our show, or your show.
Yeah, well, I just love it because, you putting it that way, it totally makes sense. And again, for me, like I don't know if you noticed on my products that your wife has, there's an affirmation on every single bottle. And we actually ask our community what affirmations they're resonating to you. And then we choose from that and they go into our next production run. So each production run, it's a new affirmation. And, I think that there's a lot of confusion surrounding it being almost like woo-woo. Like it's not just woo-woo, there's science behind it, like change your way of thinking. Believe these things are real and you are these things, or you have the ability to do these things. And I think that's why it's so important to have this discussion, because there's a lot of analytical thinkers out there, especially in the beauty space, that they have to see it, or like understand it from a scientific point of view to really understand it.
Well, there's an old saying that says, I'll believe it when I see it. And the way our brain actually works is in reverse. It's not I'll believe it when I see it. It's when you believe it is when you will see it. So our brain's actually projecting onto the canvas called our external world the pattern that it has become familiar with and the patterns that have been reinforced. And every time we speak words, every time we have thoughts, we're not our thoughts, we're not our words, we're not our emotions, we're not our feelings, we're not our behaviors, we're not even our results. We have all those things. And very few people have been taught, really taught, like tennis or chess or checkers or cutting hair or building your business. Very few people have been taught that learning how to use your brain better is a skill that you can also develop. And every time we say, I'm so happy because, and we come up with a reason, we're actually releasing the neurochemicals of those reasons of gratitude or those experiences. Every time we say, I can't because, we're releasing the neurochemicals and the electrical activity of the I can't statements. And so there are 7 main hormones that our brain operates on, 6 of which move us towards what we want. 1 moves us away from what we want. So when we understand that there's these networks and circuits that are turning on or off in our brain, when we repeat a positive affirmation, we're actually lighting up the reward system of our brain. When we share that affirmation with other people and they're going, oh my God, I love that, then we're releasing the neurochemical called oxytocin. So when we have oxytocin and dopamine being released in the brain, that's our motivational center. That's connected to the behavioral center. That's connected to the parts of our brain that moves us towards what we want and to see, feel, and experience what we want versus the moving away from language patterns and emotions and behaviors. And so there is a science to all of this. And that's why, I don't know if you can see back over there, there's my newest creation is called Inner Size. And I don't know whether we got you caught, but Inner Size, the new science to unlock your brain's hidden power. And it's all around the neuroscience of success and emotions and behaviors and thoughts. And so lots of good stuff.
I definitely need that book. Is it on Audible?
It is. Inner Size
Okay,
is
cool.
on Audible. It's on Amazon. It's on Audible and bookstores all over
Perfect.
the world.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to pick that up. I
Thanks.
definitely, I'm not making any excuses, but I've been pretty busy. But I definitely, listen to as many podcasts as I can or Audible books, and now Clubhouse. And that's actually how I originally found you. So every time you go live, I actually have a notification that says that you're like on, and I feel
Thank you.
like kind of spoiled because I'm getting free information from you all the time. And
Love
I
it.
don't know. I think, again, why I was so gravitated towards it is because I wish I knew some of this stuff, 10, 20 years in the beginning of my career, because I think it would have really helped catapult me a lot further and faster, because it took a long time for me to figure this out. Like, I don't have the best background. Like, there's a lot of mental health history in my family, and I had to kind of learn, like, I had to feast or famine. Like, I had to evolve to get where I wanted. And a lot of it was thinking positive and telling myself I can and whatnot. So I kind of had to learn the hard way. But if people kind of learn that now in the beginning of their career, they can really start achieving their goals at a more rapid pace, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they don't teach this stuff in school, right? When
Mm-hmm.
we talk about having $100 billion brain, when was the last time you or I or most of the people that are watching us and listening, when was the last time you took any course on understanding activate my motivational center? How do I eliminate my fear of failure? How do I set goals so that I have a likelihood of achieving them? What are the different components of my brain that I need to engage in goal achievement versus goal setting? What do I do when I have limiting beliefs like I'm too young or too old or I don't have the knowledge or the skills? What do I do when I have a fear of being rejected or embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged? Like, what do I do when I have these real life feelings and these real life thoughts? Like, what do I do with them? Are they
Mm-hmm.
normal? Is it something that I should just like hunker down and live with it? No. We have over 50,000 thoughts a day that are percolating from our subconscious mind based on quadrillions of neural networks. And every time the sun comes up and it's shining a certain way, it might activate, a thought pattern, or we smell something because, we're in an office and somebody's cooking some curry and we have these thoughts, or we have a goal that we want to achieve, but we have this unconscious fear of, well, what if I fail again? What if I disappoint my husband or my wife or my children because, I want to lose weight, but I'm afraid of gaining it back. What if I want to invest in this book or program and it doesn't work for me because I got so much shelf help, that I don't want to take a chance again. These are all normal thoughts and emotions
Mm-hmm.
that either hold us back or hold us hostage. And so when we start to understand that awareness is what gives us choice and choice is what gives us freedom, now we can start saying, okay, it's normal for me to have negative thoughts, no problem. What should I do when I have a negative thought? What I call and this is based on a friend of mine's work, Dr. Daniel Ants, automatic negative thoughts. What should I do when I have them?
Yeah.
Well, what if you just became aware of it? You didn't believe your thought. And what if you replaced it with an automatic positive thought within 1 or 2 seconds of having the automatic negative thought? Do you think you might be able to go from I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy to, oh, I had this thought, I'm not that thought. In the past, I used to believe I'm not good enough or not worthy. And now I'm feeling more than good enough and more than worthy. Well, just by doing that, first, we interrupt the first pattern. Second, we create and reinforce a new pattern. And if you do that for 100 days, the new positive, constructive, empowering pattern becomes more dominant than the negative ones. So that's a simple, what I call is inner size. Inner sizes are mental and emotional techniques to strengthen your mind and emotional control. Now, in the absence of techniques, we reinforce the patterns that we've just become habituated to. And so what I love to do is say, okay, there's nothing wrong with the thoughts. There's nothing wrong with my emotions. My emotions are subconscious triggers based on 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years of being alive. And if I can become aware of what's triggering my disempowering or negative or destructive emotions, and I have a counter strategy that I could recondition my brain, which you can because it's an organism. Now I'm in control and can be victorious versus me being out of control and being a victim. That is mindset control. That is emotional control. That is the deliberate conscious evolution of yourself instead of being a victim of your past or your present conditioning and environment. So that's why I wrote Inner Size is to give you the mental and emotional techniques and to guide you through them so that you can become victorious.
I love it. And you know, I think really, I mean, first of all, I feel like I should be sponsored by Clubhouse because I tell so many of my friends, my clients, my colleagues to jump on there because I feel like people like you giving out information like this, I just like hold on to. But I think in the last 5 weeks of when I was introduced to, not introduced, well, until now, but when I came across you, and you were talking about some of this, I started practicing it every single day to the point that I actually changed my passwords even on my computer. Like, you're awesome, like you're beautiful, like everywhere I go, I'm unlocking, like telling myself a message. And I do yoga daily. It's my jam. And there was a time where I was like, like I don't want to do this, like I'm so tired. And automatically my brain said to itself, like, you got this, girl. And it wasn't in a like me trying to pump myself up. It came from an area I don't even know where that existed. That wasn't a thought. That, does that make sense? Like, it was so crazy. Just went into autopilot, like, you got this, girl. And I pushed through.
So we know behind me, and then I'll just show you, like up there, I have a little picture of Einstein. And over there, I have a little Frankenstein's monster just above Inner Size. So imagine this. Imagine that you think of your brain just a little bit differently as opposed to, you know, just having this 3-pound, you know, water soluble matter with, you know, fat and water, which makes up most of your brain. But imagine if this right prefrontal cortex is your Frankenstein's monster, and it's responsible to tell you why you can't, and it's responsible to focus on, well, what happens if you do this and you fail and you're embarrassed and you lose money and you're embarrassed, rejected, or you fall flat on your face. And then you have the Einstein part of your brain that says, okay, those are possibilities, but here are 5 things that you can do in order to manage that from happening. So what if you thought of your brain as a variety of different members of an orchestra? And you have one member of the orchestra that's always trying to find out what could go wrong. And this member of the orchestra is going to be on high alert for what can go wrong. And all the other members of the orchestra are trying to figure out how to make everything work really well. Well, what if I shared with you that both of those 2 parts of your brain, what can go wrong and how you will succeed, you have to learn how to manage better. Because they both are your greatest allies, but if you don't know how to manage the Frankenstein part of your brain, okay, that's always thinking about your safety, your security, and to move you away from any real or imagined danger or pain, then you are going to be a victim of something going on in your head that you don't know is normal, but you just haven't learned how to manage it. So when we're talking about the human brain, think of it as you have your incredible computer in front of you. You just need to learn how to use your computer better, and it will work for you instead of you going, God, what's going on? I can't get this to work. I can't get that to work. That's frustrating me. That's irritating. That's what most people are doing. They haven't had any training on understanding that they have an amazing brain that they can learn how to use better. And in doing that, they have more control, more self-confidence, more certainty, and in essence, more personal power. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, I love that. So I know people can pick up the book Inner Size, and I'm definitely going to get the Audible version of that. But Can you, I love it. I can't wait to dive deep into it.
Thanks.
Now, is there anything like a quick exercise, like maybe someone has that victim mentality and like, or they just feel like they can't do it, they can't speak in front of others, or they have something hindering. Is there anything they can do right now that's super easy, simple steps, baby steps, before they get your book, of course?
So I'm going to give you 2 exercises that you can use. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to give you 2 exercises, which is exercise number 1 is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. And then I'll give you exercise number 2, which is called AIA, A-I-A. So exercise number 1, Take 6, Calm the.
Uh-oh, we're breaking up. Oh. You guys. I think, am I still live, guys? Is John paused here? Bum, 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 bum. You guys, that was getting so good. Let's see where John is. How do you guys enjoy it? Bum, bum, bum. Let's get John back on here. Where is he? John is off now. All right. Well, let's see if John's. Oh, there you are. Woohoo!
My alarm was going on. I clicked on a button that knocked me off. So I was talking about now. 2 exercises. Yeah, 2 exercises that I teach every one of my students. And remember, I showed you the brain. So our brain, at the brain stem, has a nervous system, right? The nervous system is divided into 2 components. Something called the sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response, where we react automatically, or it's our calm response, where we are calm and can respond. So whenever we have any fear, doubt, anxiety, stress, first and foremost, we need to understand that the definition of stress is when the demand has exceeded our capacity. So when demand exceeds our capacity, the stress signal goes on. So if we are lacking knowledge, we're lacking skill, we don't believe we're worthy or smart enough or good enough to achieve something, our stress response is going to get activated because it's a protective mechanism. So what if you use something that is free for you? It's called your breath. And your breath, if you just took as slow as you can, 6 deep breaths in through your nose, slowly, slowly, slowly. And when you breathe out through your mouth, breathe out like you're breathing out through a straw. Slowly, 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 slowly. As soon as we take 6 deep breaths, 60 seconds is the max, we actually are going to deactivate the sympathetic nervous system, the Frankenstein part of the brain. We are going to activate the Einstein part of the brain, which is connected to our calm to respond system. So now instead of being stressed, worried, anxious, uncertain, lacking confidence, all we've got to do is take 6 deep breaths, and that deactivates that stress center. Now in a calm state, what we can do is do exercise number 2, which is called AIA, A-I-A. And AIA stands for awareness, the I stands for intention, the A stands for action. So now, in a state of awareness of my thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, and my behaviors, let's say the last 15 minutes, awareness of the thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, and behaviors without any judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. Without any judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. Why must we do that? Because all we're looking at is to understand and recognize the pattern. And if you may remember, I said awareness is what gives you choice. Choice is what gives you freedom. Yeah. So in a state of awareness, I can then say, okay, what is my intention for the next 15 minutes? All right, so my intention is to be positive. My intention is to be focused. My intention is to take action. My intention is to do something productive instead of wasting time. And then all we need to do is say, what's one small action step I can take towards what I want? Not a big action step, not 10 action steps, one small action step. Why? The reason we want to do this is in a state of awareness and intention. If we reduce the behavior or the action step to the ridiculously small, we don't re-trigger the fear center or the stress or anxiety center. And now, in taking a little step towards what we want, we've just fired off our motivational center. We've just fired off our self-worth center, our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our take action centers in the brain. And if we can build a small little neuromuscle of awareness and intention and action towards what we want, now who's in control? The fear and the uncertainty, or the positive side of you that wants to achieve your goals and dreams? So just in learning how to do that, you start to develop your neuromuscles. So you exercise for your physical muscles, you exercise for your neuromuscles. So that's exercise 1 and 2 that take less than a few minutes to do. I find it interesting. You know, there's some really interesting people, you know, in here right now, and I guess they have nothing else to do other than waste their time and everybody else's time, including mine and yours, leaving silly, stupid comments.
I know. I apologize about that.
Oh, that's okay. Usually my team will usually just remove them and block them. They have nothing else to do with their lives, but that's okay.
I know, it's sad. I mean, my team just left. We did a photo shoot. But yeah, I literally just like don't even pay attention. I'm really embarrassed about that. I'm sorry.
Don't be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. You don't need to be. You're doing a great job.
I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, people project like they don't have better things to do, or they're kind of in a negative space or really awful place themselves. Like, people are projectors. So, I mean, I kind of have this really thick skin at this point because, you know, I think it's especially in the beauty community. Unfortunately, there's sometimes you get a little of that, but you know, it's not going to ruin my day. So I do apologize.
Oh, it doesn't. No need to apologize. I just noticing 1 or 2 people specifically that have nothing better to do. It just shows their low self-esteem and low self-worth of themselves, and that's why they're trying to get attention this way. So that's
you know what? Like, I know we're talking about mindset, but I will say one of the top, and I'm putting you on the spot.
Sure.
One of the top DMs that I get as an influencer in the beauty community is these guys that are just, you know, like, and I'm talking about girls or guys that are just coming out of cosmetology school, and they need to build a social presence to build a clientele. And they're like, Jenny, how do you deal with putting your work out there? Because I don't want to be judged, and I don't want people to bash my work or bash me as a person. And it's hard. Like, I don't know if you have any insight for those guys that just like, you know, like they don't want to put their next step forward because they're nervous about the trolls or people that might bash their work. Is there any like words of encouragement for those bullies and trolls?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you know, when my team finds people who do that on my social media, we just remove them because we don't want them in our environment. Unless there's somebody that recognizes, you know what, yes, that is what I'm doing. Can you help me? So that's a totally different story. But here's what happens, and I can share with you, it doesn't make a difference if I have a best-selling book that helps 5 million people. There's always going to be people, regardless of the number, that go, that's a piece of shit. That doesn't make sense. That's worthless. That doesn't work. There's always people that no matter what you give them, they don't find the benefit in it. And that's okay. So you just have to be prepared. If you're going to be offering solutions, you're going to be offering people your time, your experience, your expertise, there's going to be people that's going to say, that's a waste of my time. We'll go, okay, that's a waste of your time. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I have an interesting story. I have a gentleman who read one of my books from a while back. That's a New York Times best-selling book. He's actually coming to San Diego tomorrow. And he read the book when he graduated from college. It's called The Answer. And this is a book that I wrote after the movie, you know, The Secret came out. It's about business growth. And I never heard from this man, you know, in 10 years. And he sends an email to my office about 3 weeks ago. Says, "Hey, John, I just want to let you know that when I graduated college, I bought your book, The Answer. I applied everything in the book, and I built a company over the last 10 years. And I'm wondering if I can hire you to help me with my next venture." And so I said, "Yeah, sure." So we get on a call to talk. And he says, yeah, he raised $500 million to build his company. His company's worth $4.5 billion right now. And it was from a book. Now, the reason I'm telling you that, I've had people who've read that book and said it's a piece of shit. I got one guy that's built a $4.5 billion company. Other people read it, say it's a piece of shit. And so where is the issue? I've used everything in that particular book to build 5 multi-million-dollar companies. And here's a guy. So the point to come back around is everybody is seeing the world and experiencing the world through their own lens and their beliefs, not yours. So the filters by which everybody sees and hears and experiences the world, that they own that. So if we're looking for things, you know, that are wrong with the world, wrong with other people, we will find those things. And if we're looking for things that are right with people and right with the world and how we can, why we should do stuff, then we find solutions instead of challenges and problems.
You know, when I first started getting some like negative things, and this was years ago, I just felt like, hey, look, I made it, because people are paying attention. And so that's always going to bring some negativity within that, maybe coming from a jealousy point. Like, I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I mean, John, I think you're incredible. And
thank you.
You know, I'm a very high achiever. I, again, like came from nothing, and I've definitely worked up the ladder. My product line is 100% self-funded. We made it through we launched COVID year, and we made it through and turned out to be a multi-million-dollar brand.
Love it, love it.
I cling on to people like you that are inspiring and can make changes and impact, especially for entrepreneurs and for people that are trying to change their inner size, I guess. And for anyone out there that hasn't joined the Clubhouse yet, definitely join Clubhouse and follow John. Obviously follow me, but follow John, because you know what I've noticed, and I don't go into all the rooms that you are on, but you know, when I do have the free time, I do. And what I've found is when you go on, John, you are so respected. People are like, whoa, John's on, like, and they immediately hand it over to you. Like, even if they're like mid-topic, like, you're so well respected in the, I don't even know what community, I guess it would be like maybe neuroscience community, business community a little bit sprinkled in there. And that's what I'm seeing. And to be honest with you, I've never had a non-hairdresser like that I've like clung on to every single word that they've said and asked for them to be a part of my life. So I'm giving you my total stamp of approval, because I think you're fantastic. And I kid you not, like, I don't know if my team's on here right now, they better be, but they were like, shut up, Jenny. They didn't really say that, but they're like, okay, like, you're going to be okay. But I was very excited about this opportunity. And I think what you have to say has a lot of value, and it makes sense to me. And again, like, that is a lot, because I don't want to say like, I don't listen to everybody, but some things don't resonate. And you have a very analytical and obviously scientific place of where it's coming from, but I just really enjoy listening to you, and I think you're fantastic. So
for your audience as well, there's a gal that I just saw in here. Her handle's the Salon Jedi. Caroline Sanderson has been one of my top students. She was on our Brainathon, and she's been retraining her brain for years. And she's got some awesome content to teach salon owners that you guys may want to connect. I just saw her in the feed. She's a sweetheart and has so much value to give also. So Listen, I'm like anybody else. I grew up with, father was a cab driver, mother worked at a local department store as a seamstress. I left high school at grade 11, failed English, failed math, thought I wasn't good enough, thought I wasn't smart enough. Then I had one mentor, and this one mentor, when I was 19 years old, I was getting in trouble with the law. I was either going to go to jail or die, one of the two paths that I was on. And this one mentor said to me, he asked me, what were my goals? And I said, well, I'd like to buy a car. I'd like to move out of my parents' house, and I'd like to be able to make more than $1.65 an hour. Okay, this was 40 years ago, to put into perspective. So I'm 59 now, is when I was 19. And he said, what other big goals do you have? And I said, I don't have any other big goals. And he said, why don't you take 2 minutes and fill out these forms that I'm going to give you. So he hands me this sheet, several sheets of paper. And the first question on the first sheet said, at what age do you want to retire? I'm like, what? Retire? I'd like to get a job that pays more than $1.65. Second question was, how much net worth do you want to have? And I looked at him. His name was Mr. Brown. I said, what does net worth mean? And he laughed and he said, this is what net worth means. What kind of lifestyle do you want? What kind of car do you want? What kind of home do you want? And I just wrote out stuff that was just coming out of my imagination. And he looked at me and he asked me one question, and the one answer changed my life. I'm going to ask everybody right now that question. He looked at me and he said, these are all great goals that you have. He said, are you interested in achieving them, or are you committed? I said, excuse me? Am I interested or am I committed? I said, what's the difference? And he said, John, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses and reasons why you can't. If you're interested, you'll keep telling me and everybody else the story that you left high school in grade 11, you failed English, you failed math, you didn't amount to much, you're getting in trouble with the law, and you'll keep reinforcing all the reasons why you can't and won't. He said, but if you're committed, you will upgrade your mindset, your skill set, and your behaviors to match what is required to achieve these goals. He says, if you're committed, you will do whatever it takes. If you're committed, you'll get new habits. If you're committed, you will become the type of man who could achieve every one of those goals. And so he says to me, so are you interested or are you committed? I'm like, holy shit, this is serious stuff. So I'm like, I'm a little bit nervous. I go, I'm committed. And he reached out his hand to me. He says, in that case, I will be your mentor. I'm like, wow, that's great. What's a mentor? And he says, a mentor is somebody who can guide you on what to do, why to do it, how to do it. Somebody who can help you with the tools, the resources that you need, and point you in the right direction, and also show you how not to make the mistakes that they have made. Mm-hmm. And so that was my beginning. And this was in June 20th of 1980. And that was the beginning. I
wasn't even born yet, but you know.
That was the beginning of me learning that I can change my life by changing my brain and my mindset and learning how to manage my emotions. And yes, upgrading my knowledge and skills to match the vision and goals that I had. Anything less than that, he said, is delusional. And he said, most people, operate, by taking the drug of choice. And the drug of choice is hopium. They hope and pray that things get better, but they don't step into making it better. So
that's true.
There's a little story from 40 years ago that might help.
Wow, I love that. And I think it's so true. Yeah, I feel like you're full of all sorts of knowledgeable little nuggets in there.
Got a few of them.
Yeah, and I think it's great for my community to hear too, because, another frequently asked question that I get all the time is like how I got to where I'm at. And I'm like, I don't know, like I just try hard and I fail all the time. And then what I do is I get back up and I try a different way and I pivot and I reframe every single thing. And actually, you actually said something about reframing that I listened to on Clubhouse of like, you have two choices. And I forget what exactly, I don't want to butcher it because now I'm like nervous because it's right in front of you, but I quoted that and it was like two choices of reframing into a victim mentality or pivot. And it's so true. And unintentionally, I've done that my whole entire life. Obviously, there's been times where I've fallen into that victim role or whatever, you know, but I like to say that I pivot all the time. I'm a high achiever. I've done a lot of things beyond the odds of like what I was given. And it's because I pivoted and with positivity, and I know that I can achieve them.
Yeah. And you mentioned a word that's really, really important. It's something that everybody can learn. It's called the reframing something. So let's say somebody is, says, well, I'm really too young. I don't know how to do this. That's a stop sign in front of you. I'm really too young. I don't know how to do this, stop sign. What if you reframed that and said, because I'm so young and I don't know how to do this, I haven't developed any bad habits and I can learn how to do it great. And because I'm young, I have so much energy that I could do it more than the other person who may have many other commitments. That's a reframe. You can learn how to empower your brain with language patterns versus disempower your brain and yourself with language patterns. So are you putting stop signs in front of you or go signs in front of you? Because it's your brain. This is the thing that, this is the thing that's so critical. It's your brain. It's my brain. I already own this $100 billion biocomputer. But if I'm using it to help me achieve my goals and to be victorious, or am I using it to move me away from my goals and to be a victim of maybe my childhood, my traumas, my limiting beliefs, my fears, my low self-image or self-esteem of myself, none of which, by the way, we were born with. You weren't born with any limiting beliefs or empowering ones. You weren't born with any fears. You weren't born with a self-image of yourself. Those we develop by the time we are like 12 years old. And what happens is we become a product or of our environment, of our parents, our teachers, our school, our experiences. And by the time we're 12 years old, there's something called the neuroplasticity switch that goes from mostly having been on to mostly being off. And then we just reinforce the patterns we developed. And so in Innercise and really learning that I can innercise my brain, I can activate my neuroplasticity switch to turn it back on so I can learn, grow, I can let go of what's not serving me. I can create an environment internally first and then externally that will move me towards my dream life instead of keeping me stuck in my current reality. And all of our reality is happening in here.
I love that. I think it's so valuable. And I mean, like, I always kind of reframed and not really knowing what it was. Not always, but I feel like in the last year I've had to, right? COVID hit, like there's been so many, like beyond so many mistakes I have made as a entrepreneur and founder. Like when I developed my product line, it wasn't for me to be the CEO. It wasn't for me to self-fund it. Like I actually try to get investors. But I just would not take no for an answer. So I just had to keep on pivoting until it like worked out. But I don't even know where I was getting at that, but I just feel like now I'm a pro at pivoting. Like, well, that didn't happen. So I'm just going to reframe it that happened for a reason. And now it's taking me to this new direction and it's usually better anyway. Or I learned from that mistake or whatnot. Like, I'm so glad that I don't have an investor. Like I made my company the way it is on my own dollar and I'm doing amazing things. And I'm so thankful for those no's and almost like allowing it to make it to the point where I had to look inside and be like, I can do this. So I pivoted, and here I am. So
love it. And by the way, I want to respond to Shelby Schick, who says it takes 21 days to form a positive mindset habit. Shelby, that is actually a little bit inaccurate. Back in the 70s and maybe even the early 80s and 90s, this notion that it took 21 days to form a habit was postulated out there somewhere, and it's actually inaccurate. So all of the research that has just come out of the University of London is that there's a part of our brain called the striatum, and the striatum is connected to our hippocampus, which is the memory center and the seat of our emotions in our brain. Now, what we know from the striatum is that it takes between 66 days and 365 days to actually create a new pattern that overrides an old pattern. So let's take away the idea that it takes 21 days. Every one of my clients that are in any one of my programs, whether it's winning the game of business, winning the game of fear, winning the game of procrastination, winning the game of weight loss, winning the game of money, they all have to commit to 100 days of retraining their brain with our technology,
Oh, wow.
all of our stuff. Why 100 days? Well, if you think about how our brain works, think about if I gave you 100,000 acres of raw land near the city that you live in, and you had to develop the road system, the highways, all the small roads and the cul-de-sacs, how long would it take you to design it, to start laying the roads? It would take you a little bit of time. Well, the way our brain works is we start to develop these neural patterns, or neurode patterns. Well, when we have a strong pattern, a highway system in our brain that we've developed for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, those are the dominant highways in our brain. So we're not just going to take a dominant highway and all of a sudden 20, 30, 40, 50 years of that dominant pattern running our lives, switch it in 21 days. So if we said, I'm going to take 100 days to be aware of the pattern I want to release, and I'm going to take 100 days to deliberately choose the pattern I want to create, then I'm going to reinforce it. Now we have a proper process for our brain to want to actually work with us instead of against us. And so there's an entire process to retrain your brain and your neurode pattern so that the dominant, positive, constructive patterns override maybe the older patterns. So think about this. Why do you upgrade your phone? Why do you upgrade your apps? Why do you upgrade your computer? Because there's better software available. When we upgrade our beliefs, when we upgrade our self-image, when we upgrade our emotional control, when we upgrade our behaviors and our habits, now we have a better operating system that matches and resonates with our vision and goals. And that's how it works.
I love, love, love. I love it. And it makes so much sense to me. So I hope everyone out there is taking in all of the things John is saying. And this is going to go up on my feed too, you guys. So you guys can always reference back to it at any time. So I know you are so busy, John, and I so appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me today. I'll definitely be tuning in on Clubhouse.
Thank
to
you.
Your every word.
Yeah, I started the Inner Game Club on Clubhouse that I just had the first session on Saturday. So please, I want you to sign up for it, and I'll definitely bring you up and speak. The Inner Game Club. So just look for it on Clubhouse. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'll definitely find that. Is it just under your profile, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's actually got the Einstein brain with Einstein pointing to his head. That's the icon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, John, I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And when I reached out to you and then you guys came back with yes, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is really cool. So I know you have a million clients and you have so much going on, and I just really appreciate this amazing conversation, and let people know where they can find you, and definitely get his book, you guys. I just will go ahead and say, I'm going to put his book link in my, we'll put it, where am I going to put it? In my stories, and then I'll put like his information below too. So Inner Size.
That's the best one to get right now.
Amazing. And I'm definitely going to pick that up too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I can't imagine like how much information is in that book. And I just heard you speak on Clubhouse a handful of times, and I have learned so much. Again, like I wrote down notes, like you got reference to in like a meeting that we had with my team. So I just really appreciate you, and I think you're fantastic. And
thank you so much.
Again, thanks. Is there any last words that you would like to add?
I always love to get people just to think about this. If you have something within you that knows that you could have more, be more, give more, become more, then you also have the ability to achieve that. And so if you are serious about growing and becoming more, you can have the most magical, incredible life possible. And will it take some work? Of course it will. And one of my friends, before he died, he had this great quote. And he said, in life, you're either going to pay the price of discipline or you will pay the price of regret. He says, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. So if you want to live a life that you're proud of, if you want to live a life that has purpose and meaning, where you feel fulfilled, pay a little bit of learning the price of discipline and change, or you will not be very happy when it's time to sit in that rocking chair and look back, right, and go, what did I do with my life? So change when you can, and the earlier and younger you are, the easier it is.
I love that. That is such a great quote. I mean, it's, yeah.
That's
I
Jim
can resonate
Rohn.
with that.
That's Jim Rohn.
Yeah, and I'm not going to live with any regrets, I tell you that much.
Good.
My poor husband, I'm driving him crazy, but, you know, I'm not going to have regrets. So
good for you.
Thank you so much, John. And
Thanks.
then everyone can find you on your Instagram, your Clubhouse, johnassaraf.com.
At John Assaraf. Yeah, at John Assaraf. I have a website.
I was saying it wrong the whole time. Great.
Assaraf, yeah. It's
Assaraf.
I'm on Clubhouse. I'm on Facebook on my fan page. I do a free training every Tuesday here on Instagram at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 o'clock New York. I do one on Facebook, and I just started using Clubhouse. So yeah, share your thoughts with me. I love to keep in the loop.
Amazing. And then just really quick about Clubhouse, to the beauty community, you guys have to jump on there. And I've been telling my community to definitely research people out of the industry, because you guys can pick up really amazing, knowledgeable nuggets like John dropped today.
So that's how we met and connected because of Clubhouse, and here we are. You're out of my traditional industry, except for Caroline Sanderson that I told you about before. She's a rock star that found me years ago when The Secret came out.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, I mean, I watched that, 15 years ago. I think it was part of like a monthly meeting that my management team had, and I just have clung onto it like ever since. I believe in all of it. So it's definitely impacted my life, and I think that's partially why I'm such a high achiever. So
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you so
really
much.
appreciate it.
All right,
Have
everyone.
a wonderful
Thank you so
day,
much.
and
You too.
I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Bye.
Thanks, John. Bye. Peace out, guys.